Welcome to Birds of Prey Sports Talk. We're your hosts Jared and TJ, and we've been gone for a week. It's probably going to be more from a week from when this video is posted. But I think we all need to wish TJ over here a late birthday. He turned 20 this weekend,
Thank you.
so hopefully it'll be even better if people back me up in the comments with some birthday wishes. But yeah, we had a good weekend over here. We spent we're in Oxon Hill, hung out. I ate some great food. Went to Top Golf. Got sore at Top Golf.
Yeah.
um,
I beat
and
him. I beat him.
I beat him as well. We also went to the movies, went shopping a little bit, but yeah, it was all good. So that's why we were a little bit of a delay from our last video, but we're back. And the day we got back, actually, on Sunday, we got the news that Orlando, or not Orlando, that's the wrong OBJ, but Odell Beckham Jr. had signed with the Ravens for a 1 year deal, I believe up to $18 million with incentives. I believe so. I haven't really looked at the numbers, but
Mhm.
this is what we've been calling for this past 5, 6 years with Lamar, like get this man a weapon. Let's see what he can do. And finally, we finally got him. It feels like I'm not gonna lie, it felt surreal, because it was just the sudden boom like that. Because I was just sitting on my couch, with my mom, and all of a sudden I see, the Ravens, group chat that I'm in, that like it just explodes. It's just like, oh my God, we got Odo Beckham Jr., and it's
Mhm.
like it felt fake. Just to be honest, I just want your thoughts. How do you feel about this, man?
I mean, I was excited. I remember when I first texted you, I was freaking out like, "Yeah, we got Odo, we got Odo," and and just seeing the possibility of a healthy Odell and Rashad Bateman and Mark Andrews, and you got Isaiah Likely, ascending, the ranks of the tight ends that we have. It's so exciting just to imagine all those guys healthy and what they could do. I mean, and we can still draft a wide receiver. We can maybe trade up a little bit or draft a wide receiver at our spot in the draft. So it's really exciting. Like you said, we finally got the Rave. We finally, got Lamar, hopefully, a proven wide receiver talent, a guy that we know, can get the job done. And it
Right.
makes me even more excited because this guy was arguably the MVP in the Super Bowl. And it's like as soon as he left the game, the Rams just fell flat. So we
Yeah.
need that type of talent. We need that type of juice in our receiving core right now. So I totally love the move. He's going to make Bateman better. He's going to make Prochet better. He's going to make Tyler Wallace better. He's going to make everybody better. So I'm very, very excited. He's going to make Aguilar better. We're forgetting about him. He's also a piece that will be able to shine a little bit more now that OBJ is there. More attention will be on him and Andrews. So he'll be able to shine a little bit more as well.
And I'd have to agree, with the development process that he could, possibly bring to the Ravens, especially with all the, you know, receivers we have on the squad. I mean, we don't have many, but Bateman's come back from an injury. Prochet, Wallace, even Bridges, maybe Benjamin Victor, all these guys. I don't even know if Shamar Bridges is on the team, but Nelson Aguilar, all these receivers who could honestly use some guidance, because it just felt like they asked a lot of young receivers to figure it out. They got him a wide receiver coach and whatever, like I think T. Martin or whatever, and Keith Williams, and passing game coordinator. I think Keith Williams was. I could be messing that up, but it just felt like they gave him the keys and said, "Figure it out." And that's just not the way to develop a receiver. There's some receivers who come out of the draft who are just explosive talents from jump, like Odell. For a good example, or like a Jamar Chase or the Justin Jefferson. They're both LSU boys, so they developed probably together. When they had Joe Burrow as their quarterback back in college, but yeah, it just felt like a lot of these guys, like Devin Duvernay. I forgot about him too. Forgot about him.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Devin
yeah.
Duvernay, James Prochet, Tyler Wallace, and even Bateman. Were just like handed the keys and was like, figure it out, man. And that was a mistake. I really felt like they needed a guy who a veteran presence is good. That's a
Mhm.
good start. But I felt like they needed a guy with not only a veteran presence, but with veteran talent. Like
Mhm.
OBJ has played in playoff games. He's played in the Super Bowl. He's won a Super Bowl. And he had to build up a reputation in the playoffs, because remember his playoff experience was the one game versus the Giants. But with the Giants,
Versus
But I
the
mean, you know, the
Packers. Yeah.
Giants, yeah, and the Giants didn't go to the playoffs that often, especially in Eli Manning's, the end of his career. So he never really got to go, through playoff experience. But if I had to be honest, that Rams playoff run, he had to show that he was the guy. He had to show that he's a playoff caliber receiver because at that time he was known as a joke. In the playoffs, but the one appearance he got, especially what he did, I believe the day before when he was on the yacht with all those people. I don't know if you remember that. So that playoff run, he was explosive. And in each game, I remember he made some great catches versus the Cardinals, and then I don't remember many of his plays in the Buccaneers game or the 49ers game, but the Super Bowl, I think he had 2 catches for 50 something yards and had a
Right. Yeah.
touchdown, and he was gonna ball out. The Bengals didn't have not have an answer for him in the slightest. That game could have possibly been a massacre if OBJ stays. So and then obviously he got the unfortunate injury and had to be sit out for a year. But I don't know. It feels nice just because this doesn't seem like a Ravens move. But I want to just propose this, or I guess ask a question or whatever, direct something towards your direction. The Ravens went out of their way to do this. They I guess you could say they overpaid, as everybody agrees with that they overpaid, but it's not something that we're mad about. But the thing that I'm worried about is I'm going to give you an example. It's not with the Ravens, it's with the Orioles. Like last time they really like gave out a contract to a player or even let's just say a pitcher. When the Orioles can't develop pitchers to save their lives, all their supposed studs that they've had have been signees. Like I believe Wang Chen was a overseas signing, and then Chris Tillman was in a trade, and all these supreme pitchers that we had were not developed in our system. So I remember after 2013, what did we do? We went to give out a pretty big contract to Ubaldo Jimenez for I think it was 3 or 4 years or something like that, and that turned out to be the biggest mistake in Orioles franchise history, besides the Davis one, which was also the biggest mistake in franchise history. So when I'm here, and now the Orioles are one of the lowest payroll teams in the MLB and continue to be so, and it seems like they will continue to be that way, especially with this cheap ownership that we do have at the helm. With that being said, the Ravens can't develop wide receivers to save their lives, and the question I want to propose, I guess, is if we did this, went out of our bubble to do this, if it fails, what if they just go right back into the bubble? Is like, we're gonna be a running team, defensive focused, defensive minded, whatever. And I just that's the one thing I'm scared about is they went all out to go get OBJ, and they could possibly go all out to go out to get DeAndre Hopkins if that's a possibility, which it may not be, but I would be all for it. But it just feels like if this fails, that'll be them maybe pulling back and saying, you know what, we're not going to do that again. That was we tried it once, it failed. Instead of trying again, and then maybe that it's a seat the second time. But I just want your opinion on this. Like if it fails, do you think that they'll go back to the cocoon that they've been in for the past decade?
Well, if it, I do kind of think so, but at the same time, if it fails, I mean, you gotta attribute it to the age of these guys that they're signing, right?
Right,
A lot of these guys that they sign, they're in their 30s, maybe 31, 32, 33, they are a little bit worn and torn by the game. So I feel like if the Ravens do feel some type of way, if it doesn't work out, they should start going after younger guys who they know will be worth the money.
right,
If you see a guy like, even though he'll probably never be open on the market, a guy like Jamar Chase, a guy like Justin Jefferson, younger guys that are proven, and that you'll get them for, 5, maybe 6 years. So, I mean, will the Ravens learn that way? I don't think so. But if this does backfire on them, that would be the logical way. Just start investing in more younger guys. You
yeah,
know,
like
it
trading
can't
for
be,
guys.
yeah, yeah, it can't be no more, these mid 30s. It's worked in the past with guys like Steve Smith, Anquan Bolden, Derek Mason, right? Mike Wallace too. He had a decent year, but it can't always be that way. So
Right,
I'm hoping that, if this doesn't if this does backfire on him, we don't put our head down, we don't get in a cocoon because we need to change some aspects of our philosophy. We need to start
Right,
going younger instead of older,
right,
especially when it comes to offense.
right.
So that's my input on that.
And I think we have a pretty young squad right now. I mean, like getting rid of Calais Campbell, I believe one of the oldest players on the team. I believe he was what 36. This
Yes.
team is relatively young, probably like an age range of like maybe like 27, 28. And I don't know. I definitely agree with you. It would just be nice if we could draft wide receivers like the Bengals. Now they drafted freaking AJ Green, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, like all these receivers that they've drafted. It's like they draft them and develop them, and it's like, God damn. I mean, I think who was it a quote of? Who said that? I think Mike Tomlin said to Chase Young, he says, I don't want to be as bad to draft someone like you. Pretty much saying that he doesn't want a top pick because, he doesn't want to lose 14, 13, 14, 15 games in a season. And let's be real, the Ravens don't want to do that either. They're never going to get a wide receiver who is going to be number one taken off the board like a Jamar Chase. Or, I mean, Justin Jefferson wasn't the first receiver taken off the board, I don't think. I don't think. But who was the first receiver? Wasn't it Nelson Aguilar? Not Nelson Aguilar. I forgot what receiver was drafted ahead of. I think the
I've had
the,
a
the Eagles. The
Jalen
Eagles
Rager.
draft. Yes, him. He was the first receiver taken off the board, I believe. And it's
No,
kind
it
of
was Jerry
frustrating.
Judy. It was Jerry
Oh, it was
Judy.
Jerry Judy with the Broncos, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, and he's done okay. It's okay, but like, I would
Maybe
like
Henry
the
Ruggs.
Ravens. Oh yeah, probably as well. There's a lot of Alabama receivers that came out that
Yeah.
draft. But it would just be nice. It would be nice for once if they hit on a receiver, and it'd be nice for Bateman to be that guy. Because something I was talking with somebody about. I was like, it'd be nice to get OBJ or D Hop so that we can develop Bateman into a premier wide receiver, and then it'd be nice to draft one in this draft like a JSN, Zay Flowers or whoever, and develop them into a wide receiver 1A or 1B, so that when Odell and D Hop eventually leave because of their age, you got Bateman, hopefully on a second contract, hopefully, as 1A, and then you got your draft receiver as 1B. And then for your third receiver, you can figure that out. You don't have to go, top talent for wide receiver three, So anyway, I believe that I'm gonna change subject here. I believe you had some salary numbers to go through or go down about
Um,
OBJ's contract.
yes, and I kind of wanted to use these, in terms of, how they would maybe affect a potential Lamar contract, especially how the numbers are spread out over the years. So OBJ, his deal is, I believe 1 year, 15 million, but he can get 3 million in incentives. And so, you know, those three incentives are, if he earns at least 60 catches, that's a mill right there. If he has at least 1,000 yards, that's another mill right there. If he has at least 9 TDs, that's another mill right there. And there's an additional, I don't know if this can count to 19 million, but it says right here, instead, he can also earn 1 mil by leading the team in each category, no matter the numbers. Now, I
Mhm.
feel like obviously, it's a good bet that he'll get that one. Um, but I also saw that the Ravens kind of structured the contract where if there is an extinction, there's some void years to help spread the money across.
Mhm.
So I feel like, if we do that extension, that would be, obviously a great way to keep Odell, but
Right.
also, way to keep other guys on the team. Let's say if Bateman breaks out, you know, you can keep him. If a guy
Right.
like Patrick Queen, if he, wants to play on his 5th year option and he breaks out, maybe we can have a little bit of flexibility to keep him on the team as well. So I'm actually, I'm really liking this deal. I feel like it's a win-win for both sides. We
Right.
get OBJ. He should be, decent coming off of his surgery. And you know, he can only go up in terms of the contract. He can only go up. So I think it's a good deal. I honestly don't think it's an overpay.
Right.
I don't see how people can say it's an overpay. I mean, I really think it's a good deal. I mean, and the incentives, are not too challenging for us as well. So,
Right. So I mean, I'm not in the ballpark to care if we overpaid because like
hmm
you needed this to happen because I mean a lot of Ravens fans, including myself, were on the board of like, yeah, Lamar's gone. He may be gone draft night,
hmm
and just to find out that he helped recruited OBJ to Baltimore, saying they want to win a Super Bowl in Baltimore together. Just it makes me happy and it makes me feel so much better about the situation because
right,
I mean, it was easy to think, damn, Lamar's gone. We might not do well next year. Harbaugh might be gone after that if we don't do well. We might have to
okay,
go on a rebuild mode. I mean, it's just
right,
the possible negative things that could happen with this is endless. Really, it's really endless because it's a lot, especially
yes,
but with just this one signing, just changes the trajectory of everything. Because now you
yes,
got to think like, what else do they want to do? Like, do you select cornerback or wide receiver in the first round now? Do you go and just say, screw it, let's go get D Hop? Let's just no more excuses for Lamar, no more excuses for anything. Let's let Lamar ball out in the passing game. Let him have these two receivers, including Bateman and the depth behind him, just to put up some passing numbers for once. Getting sick of seeing these, 2,000 passing yard seasons, 13 touchdowns or 18 touchdowns or whatever. Like Lamar's passing numbers are going to look better next year if we with Odell, and they could look even better getting D Hop or whatever. But I mean, the DeAndre Hopkins dream just might be a dream. If it happens,
right.
that would truly be a special high for Ravens fans because that just would be insane. But
Right. And
I
I,
don't know.
I just wanted to add, also, building off of my cap thing that I talked about with Odell, I'm reading a tweet right now for Sarah Ellison. It says the Ravens added 4 void years to get his 2023 cap hit to $3.9 million. And they would need to extend him, like how I mentioned, they would need to extend him to avoid 11 million in dead money next year.
Right.
So, the extinction would allow them to spread that 11 million across any new years added. And so
Mm,
this seems like, this is going with the intent that he has a great year and he
right.
wants to stay. So I just wanted to add that into it as well.
I'd have to imagine, if he does do well, they'd want to do, a mid-season extension like how they did, with Roquan, who, has was doing great for the Ravens and then, got an extension, I believe. Was it before the playoff game?
It was four. Yep, before.
I
Right
think it was
before.
or it was before the Bengals game. I don't remember when it was, but I think I was on my way down to Virginia Beach at the time. And, I got the notification that we re-signed Roquan Smith. And I mean, that worked. That was a good trade for us, just to reassure the middle of the field. Got a guy who balls out, in pass coverage and can, hit you hard and stuff like that. And
hmm
I don't know. I just the new offensive coordinator coming in. I want new offense. I'm getting sick of the run it down your throat and pass it every once in a while. Like I want a balanced passing game, like how it was in 2019. Even though I'd led heavier in the run in 2019, I want like a more balanced version of the 2019 team where Lamar's throwing it a lot and maybe not running it. I don't want him to run a lot. First of all, I don't want to see no more Lamar 1,000 yard running seasons. I don't want to see that. 600, 700 yards is fine. You know, I want him to get. I don't need this 1,000 rushing yards because that means he's running too much and there's less opportunities to pass the ball.
hmm
I mean, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that he's getting 1,000 yard rushing seasons, but like it started to feel like that's becoming the norm after doing that 2 years in a row. And it's like he's not a running back. These 1,000 yard seasons are not necessary. You can use him on read options or triple options, or he can roll out of the pocket. That's fine. But it just felt like that's what he started to become known for. When you see a Lamar promo on ESPN, CBS,
Just running.
NFL, it's all the running highlights. And it's like he
Yeah.
does more than that. He's a passer. He wants to pass the ball. He even said it himself. I want to pass the ball. I'm a quarterback. So I just felt like they created more. They fueled more into that narrative when you look at his passing stats compared to his running stats. And it's like, I don't know. It's tiring. I want to see Lamar throw the ball. That's all I want to see. Because I know he
Right.
can. And it's like, it was irritating because all last year, what was Lamar's biggest problem? He seemed like he couldn't hit the deep balls, but that's just a product of not having chemistry with your receivers or may not have been having good enough receivers for that stuff, and it's like, It's annoying. I want to see OBJ flourish in this offense along with Lamar Jackson's arm. That's really all I gotta say about
And
about this.
also I just want to say that I'm proud of Lamar for being a lot more, outspoken,
Right,
when it comes to people talking down on him, when it comes to
right,
people questioning his abilities and his arm strength.
right,
I remember, I would see all the time in 2021, especially people always just disrespecting this man's name. I mean,
right.
even after the Colts game, when he had like one of the highest completion percentages in a comeback win, or it was a stat, something like that, there were still doubters. And, it's just good now to see him addressing those people and Loki proving them wrong. I
Right.
mean, these dudes don't see the game like how actual football players do. They don't experience, they think they know, but they don't. So it's good to see him, prove them wrong, and just like, you know, see Lamar take control of his own,
Narrative, really.
yeah, narrative and I guess
Image.
posture in the league. Yeah, image in the league.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's what I hate to say.
Yeah.
So I have to agree with you there. It kind of feels like the Ravens let him get dragged through the mud, especially through the media. I think there should have been at least one chance or time where somebody that's not Lamar has been like, I'm getting sick of you talk about my quarterback like this. Like, you're gonna put some respect on his name. Our unanimous MVP. And it just felt like, especially with her. I do want to get into this a little bit. I know this is kind of. I think it was like a last week, I believe. That presser where they shut down the questions about Lamar was a joke. I'm sorry. I love the Ravens. I love the Ravens organization. I love, even though I have a love-hate relationship with them, I love John. I love EDC, Bashadi, all of them. But that was a joke. I mean, I'm sorry. That
Yeah.
the shutting the guy's mic down when it was a draft question too. It all he did, he may have worded it different, like like, are you going to focus more on QB with, especially with the Lamar situation? But
Mhm.
that was a joke. It was an absolute. They look like weak. Let's be real. They look weak up there. I mean,
Yeah.
look at you saw their faces. They looked stunned, like a deer in headlights. It was embarrassing to have the leaders of our organization look like that. They made up for it with the OBJ signing and hopefully the Lamar extension soon. But that was at the time when we didn't have OBJ and Lamar still seemed like he was gone. It was a joke, and it gave everybody the perception that he was gone.
Yeah.
Everybody thought that. That's all. That's just thought he was gone either soon or drawn draft night. And it's like you just they need to stop. Honestly, they need to stop with this. Keeping everything in house. I get the contract situations are like in house. They want to keep seeing them too, but it just feels like you know they keep so much like in. They're like, don't focus on the outside noise. Like it's just negative stuff out there. But like that's not a real way to live life. Sorry. I get as an athlete, you have to have thick skin and ignore the haters and ignore this and ignore that. But when it's just starting to feel like it's piercing through the little bubble that you're creating, you have to reassure everything and be like, we're working on the deal. Like he could have started off the presser like we're not going to field Lamar questions today. It's just this is all going to be draft talk. If you do have a Lamar question, or maybe it's like we'll take one or two, or if you weren't going to take any, or just have it be like if it's a Lamar question, have it relate to the draft. If it's not related about the draft, don't even say it. But
Right.
no, they didn't have the gates closed on that, which meant that all the reporters were like, oh, maybe we can ask. They tried, and then one of them couldn't get through, and the second one wasn't even trying to get through, got shut down, and I think that was embarrassing. That was very embarrassing, and I don't know if EDC and John Harbaugh and all them feel the same way. That was a joke. I'm sorry, that was a joke. It made
Yeah,
us look
and
weak.
I just wanted to say, I mean, if it it is very concerning, and it almost, if I was Lamar, I would feel very like, you know, what's the word? I would feel very dis I don't I don't know, I feel very concerned with how my standing is with the Ravens.
Right,
I remember seeing other teams how, you know, um reporters asking them, "Oh, how do you feel about this free agent? Are you going to sign them?" And their answers always seem to be like, we're only worried about the players that we have, in our
right,
building, in our facility right now.
right,
And it's like with the Ravens, it's like there's I don't know, they don't even seem to be at least giving the notion that, they're still trying to get this thing done with Lamar. I mean, just
Right.
not even letting people mention his name in the building, it just seems very concerning.
Right.
It seems very disheartening.
Right.
It's like how we mentioned earlier, where's the love for our, unanimous MVP quarterback?
Right.
If you're getting disrespect from your own, higher ups in the within the organization, then I mean, is there truly really love? You
Right.
know what I'm saying? I mean,
Exactly.
I've seen guys like Shane Steichen, who just got signed by the Colts to be the new head coach.
Hmm.
People are asking him about Lamar Jackson, you know, and he's saying he's not even acknowledging it because he believes in the quarterback that they have right now, in their QB room. And I think that's Sam Erlinger, or no, yeah, Sam Erlinger or something like that.
They're probably gonna draft somebody different,
Yeah, yeah,
but
but still, he believes in the QBs that they have now, and it seems like the Ravens don't show that same belief in Lamar.
mhm,
So, I just wish that they would just get behind him. And honestly, that's my wish that, if we do resign him, that's wish number one. Wish number two is I hope that we show more support for him. And not just when
right,
we're winning, not just when everything is at the incredible peak and highs like how it was in 2019. They were
right.
behind us back then. But what happened in 2020 when we started to a little bit flatline a little bit, especially after that Patriots game? What happened in 2021 when he got injured? What happened this past season?
Right.
So I'm just hoping that we can, really get behind his back more if we resign him, just like how other
I
teams do with their quarterbacks. You
I
don't
agree.
never have to worry about that with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. You never have to worry about that with Jalen. Even when Jalen Hurts was bad, they still showed more support than him for him than how the Ravens do with Lamar.
Right.
So same thing with Josh Allen, same thing with Joe Burrow, same
Right.
thing with Herbert, and he's the one out of all of them who's accomplished the least.
Right.
So
I don't know. Just it's definitely interesting, and and to me, I don't understand how the one thing that irritated me about the most about this whole Greg Roman fiasco. That I'm gonna this is a little bit of a switch on topic for a little bit, but if you saw the offense when Tyler Huntley was in there versus when Lamar was in there, it just felt like Lamar covered up so much that Greg Roman was lacking. If that makes sense. And it's like when Tyler Huntley was in there, it exposed what Greg Roman was lacking. And I know Tyler Huntley isn't the best quarterback, but it just felt off. It didn't feel right. This didn't feel like an NFL offense to me. And I just the most excruciating game I've watched this year was the one versus the Broncos. I know we won, but still, that was awful to watch. That was horrible, awful game, worst game I've ever seen in my life. Just watching that game and the crochet play go up in the air when he threw the ball, that's when I knew it should have been over. Like, I'm sorry, at that time, I would have been done. I don't care that Harbaugh makes these decisions. If I was EDC, I would have been in that room and been like, Greg, Roman, pack your stuff up and please get out of here. Like, you're not working at all, and I don't know. It just felt like stuff was getting stale, and you could kind of see that each year it was getting old. It was getting stale. Defenses were figuring him out, meaning Greg Roman. And it's like it's they gave it seems like a lot of fans and a lot of media members gave Greg Roman the pass because the injuries in 2021. You didn't give Wing Martindale the pass when the defense had more injuries than the offense. Be real. They had way more injuries on the defense than they did in the offense, if not equally. I don't know. But you let him go. Felt like they wanted to do something different there. And then they went with, Mac McDonald. And it just felt like you needed to get rid of both of them. If you were gonna get rid of one, you should have got rid of both. Or if you were gonna get rid of one, get rid of Greg. But I felt like the defensive coordinator change was necessary. The offensive coordinator change needed to happen after 2021 because that would have made Lamar a lot of money if we brought in an offensive coordinator. But I mean, who knows what that wide receiver core we could have had. But it just felt
right,
like stuff was getting stale, and it was on record with other teams that I would get
yeah,
stale after 1 or 2 years. It would get old, and even in 2020, it looked like it started to get old. And in 2021, it started to stink a little bit. And in 2022, it was old. You need to throw it away.
right,
It was rotten. It was starting to just be awful.
and And we're kind of running a little bit on time here, but that kind of perfectly segues into what I wanted to talk about, and that's it's really concerning how things started to get stale after 1 year.
Right.
It's 20, and I mean not even fully into 2019 where things clicking. It seemed like after that bye week, and then it seemed like from the time from the bye week to maybe like the Titans game, things were really clicking. Things were really clicking, right? And then we get into the 2020 season. The first two games, it seemed like, maybe um, you know, the kid it was looking like 2019 again when things were working and really doing good. The Browns game, Lamar was diming the defense up. He was looking amazing, like the MVP quarterback he was. The Texans game, the Texas game was solid. I mean, there was a lot of points where the O line wasn't really, run blocking well and protecting Lamar well, but
Right.
Lamar still looked good and strong as a QB. And then it kind of seemed like the offense just couldn't really get it together after that. It seemed like,
Yeah.
we weren't really staying true to ourselves. I mean, especially in the Chiefs game. So, it kind of is a testament to what you were saying. It's crazy how things got stale that fast.
Right.
And, they weren't really even consistent for a full year.
Right. And like I said, if you have a track record with multiple teams of you getting stale quick, does that really need to be your offensive coordinator? Now I get, you probably needed him to help Lamar introduce the NFL, get his MVP season, but I would have let him. I would have let him go. But can you even really do that? Like, how does that look on your organization if you let a, you know, what was he, the assistant coach of the year or whatever, or what was it, whatever the hell Greg Roman won that year? It was like, you can't let him go at the same time because that looks bad on you. The Ravens don't look bad. So like what we were talking about earlier, it seems like they throw somebody under the bus before they start to look bad. So but that's a story for another time, really. But yeah, like I said, Greg Roman got stale quick, and honestly wasted 3 years with Lamar. Honestly, with having him in the booth, because it just felt like it almost felt like they let him go finally this off season, and then with all the fiasco happening, this off season before OBJ signing, it just felt like it was too late. They let it go on for too much, like too long,
Mhm.
especially with Bateman calling out EDC and all that stuff. It's like, and then Hollywood saying he didn't like the system. I'm sorry, but if you have your first round wide receiver saying he don't like the system, both of them, I should say, your two drafted first round wide receivers saying they don't like the system, then what are you really doing? I get that it's John Harbaugh signing, but EDC, you're his boss. You're John Harbaugh's boss, and it might be time to step in and be like, all right, this is going on too long. And I will admit that EDC didn't supply Greg Roman with a good offensive line for 2 straight years for, his offense to run. But I mean, at the same time, his offense got stale no matter what. When you gave him a good offense in 2022, it was just too much. It was too old. There was nothing complex about it. It felt like the Ravens did something different each play, every play in 2019. But it felt like they did the same things from 2020 to 2022. Like the jet sweeps and the read options and the slant
Screens.
plays and screens and curl routes and deep go routes, and it's like that's all I felt like they were doing. And then you'd hit once or twice, and then it's it was a mess. And hopefully this is fixable. But I don't know if there's any much to talk about in this video. If you have any last points to bring up.
I think we pretty much covered everything.
All right. Well, so yeah, I can tell as it got a little gloomy towards the end, but we are happy about the OBJ signing. And
Yes.
for DeAndre Hopkins, I'd say go for it. See what the hell if you can get him. If you can get him, then your team is looking 10 times better than it did a few weeks ago. So this is what we've been asking for. This is what we've been calling for. This is what we've wanted for the past few years, and you finally did it. So hopefully it's not too late, like how everything seems to be with the Ravens so far. But honestly, that's all we got for tonight. I really have no more last points to bring up, and you said you didn't either. Got anything on your head?
Um, you know, I'm just I'm just hoping, I'm very excited what we do in the draft, who are we draft and how they're gonna help the team. So hopefully it's a wide receiver.
I
That's what I'm
agree.
hoping.
I agree. I have to wholeheartedly agree. But anyway, that's gonna be all for us tonight. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share. I don't honestly don't care as long as this, gets a good reach if whatever you do, however you do it, as long as it's legal, obviously. That's should go without saying. But anyway, we're Birds of Prey Sports Talk signing out.